All right. Peace, Natasha. I hope you're doing lovely. And this is going to be our first session together. Now, typically on the first session, I cover the first through the sixth house. But as I feel you're kind of a special event, we can say. Considering you've never really looked into your birth chart, because a lot of the people I work with, typically they already have a fundamental understanding of the things in their birth chart, and then they just come to me, to help them expand it. What I'm going to be doing for you is going to be more so of a introductory reading, and I'm going to follow the guidelines you kind of set forth for me. Because those are the things I usually cover in a introductory reading: the sun, moon, ascendant. And because you requested, I'll also talk about the north and south node as well, right? These sessions are an hour, so I'm not completely sure if I'll be able to get to the north and south node, but I'll most definitely try to fit them in. So what we are going to be doing is we are going to start with your ascendant, as the ascendant is kind of the foundation of the personality. It is the significator of the personality, you feel me? And hopefully, your mother was correct in it being 9 or 10, because 9 or 10, either way, that's like it falls into the Aquarius energy, so yeah, it'll be in retrospection, like in regards of talking about your ascendant, would be correct to say it's in Aquarius, So first and foremost, with you having this Aquarius ascendant, what this is an indication, or what this is indicating, is that your chart ruler is, well, your first house ruler, rather I should say, is your hold on, I'm pulling it up right now. I thought I had it pulled up, but apparently not. Yeah, this would indicate that your first house ruler is Saturn. And so Saturn is like the planet of kind of like, it's the planet of reality, right? It's the planet of structure, the planet of discipline, the planet of foundation, the planet of structure, systemization, and all that good stuff. So now there is a slim chance also that your ascendant possibly could, instead of being in Aquarius, it can be in Pisces, which would then be an indication that instead of Saturn being your first house ruler, Pisces would be your first house ruler. And if Pisces, or Jupiter, because Jupiter rules Pisces, if Jupiter is your first house ruler, then this energy will kind of completely somewhat change. But I kind of have a feeling that your ascendant is Aquarius, so we'll stick with Aquarius. So the interesting thing about Aquarius and Pisces is they have similar energies. They're both they're like the last two signs. Like Pisces is the last sign, and Aquarius is the second to last sign. Aquarius is a sign that deals with knowledge, information, and wisdom. It deals with the accumulation of knowledge. The Aquarian mind is very scientific and inclines very much towards research and towards the acquisition of information and knowledge. So the key phrase for Aquarius is "I know," right? Every single sign has like a key phrase or a thought trend, as it's commonly referred to. And it's the series it belongs to, or the overall energy of Aquarius, is knowledge. Being the last air sign, Aquarius deals with the accumulation of air, right? It's the last air to come into manifestation. Meaning that Whereas the first air sign, Gemini, deals with the thoughts, and then the second sign, Libra, deals with the correlation between one mind and the other. Aquarius rules like the collective database, right? Like it doesn't deal with your personal thoughts, nor does it deal with collaborative thoughts, but it deals with collective thoughts, like everybody as a whole. And so off the bat, this makes Aquariuses in of themselves very intellectual. Like Aquarius is a highly intellectual sign. And amongst its intelligence, right, it also is a psychic sign. And its psychicness has to deal with its correlation with Uranus. And Uranus is the higher octave of the planet Mercury. So Mercury is the planet of intellect, logic, rationality. Uranus is like the higher octave of that, And so this also aligns with Aquarius's tendency of getting downloads on a continuous basis, becoming conscientious and aware of certain things that Aquarius may not have any business knowing. Like Aquarius just kind of knows, like I said earlier, its key phrase is I know. So Aquarius is in correlation with Uranus. So Uranus is a higher octave planet, and it's an ESP planet as well, extrasensory perception planet. Uranus primarily deals with the electromagnetic body, which is like very linked to the ethereal body. And a lot of our psychic abilities are registered to our mind, or to our brain from our mind, through electromagnetism, and the more electromagnetic energy you have, the more like psychic you can be. And yeah, Aquarius, their psychicness primarily can expand into like telekinesis, but more so like telepathy is a very good one, because Aquarius deals with people, right? It deals with groups of people. Like the human species resonates or vibrates to the frequency or the key note of Aquarius, meaning singularly we all have our own unique energies, but collectively as a species, humanity belongs to Aquarius. Like Aquarius, humanity is very inclined towards group setting. Like Aquarius, humanity depends greatly upon their intellect. Like Aquarius, humanity is very inventive and innovative, And like Aquarius, humanity wants their freedom and wants their independence, And like Aquarius, humanity is very rebellious. These are all different attributes of the Aquarian energy, right? Very rebellious, very independent. Being independent, also somewhat detached. Like it's interesting because you have water in your chart as well. So there are great amounts of emotions present within your being, for sure, being channeled through your sun and your moon. But simultaneously, with you having this Aquarius ascendant, it does make you of a type of person that at times may come off as detached, or you may have this ability to know how to like disconnect from people and cut people off, alienate people, possibly even. Talking about alienation, like Aquarian energy is very alien-like, right? And that goes back to its uniqueness and original energies and tendencies. And I also want to mention that with the energy of Aquarius, it's all about mental ability and mental force. Like Gemini is more about mental ability and mental force, but considering you have the last, energies of, energy of Aquarius, this is especially like that energy of the mind, because each sign has 3 decans in it, and your Aquarius ascendant is in the last decan of Aquarius, which is like a Saturn Gemini mix and this is like the energy of idealism. This aspect of Aquarius is very, very idealistic, have a desire to want to bring certain, like when I say like an ideal is like a standard, for how things should be. And this may also be the reason to your humanitarianism, your desire to want to contribute and assist humanity. Like that's another attribute of Aquarius. They're very humanitarian, like very selfless, right? Like when we get into their strengths and their weaknesses, the strength of Aquarius is their altruistic nature, their selfless nature, their ability to act selflessly for the sake of others, for the sake of humanity. But their weakness is in their argumentative, right? Aquarius is fixed air, and air is like logic, thoughts, word, and fixed is like stubbornness, right? So sometimes in Aquarian, even though Aquariuses are very, very much open-minded, a lot of the times in Aquarius, before coming to a belief or an understanding of something, they kind of research it or they put logic behind it. So it may be difficult for someone to like sway an Aquarius from their opinion. An Aquarius may hold on to their opinion greatly, and they don't like to be mentally challenged when it comes to their beliefs and their understandings. And this is an interesting aspect of Aquarius because it's both open-minded but yet closed-minded in a way. This is because Aquarius is like separate air, it's air that's not a part of the other air, right? It's like air in a bubble, because that's how you fix air. If you just let air be, then it'll flow around, but when you put air in a bubble, then it becomes fixated, it becomes stuck. You feel what I'm saying? And so all of this energy I've been explaining with Aquarius very much ties into your personality, your personal life. Even your personal life may be very grounded in your networks, possibly even your social connections and your friends, because Aquarius is rather a friendly sign, but Cancer and Scorpio are rather opposed to that energy. They're more solo dolo, so that Cancer and Scorpio energy may make you more of a hermit, more of an isolationist, whatever, make you more isolative, rather than collaborative, for sure. And yeah, that's pretty much your ascendant, your personality, your energy. Very charismatic as well, very intellectual, and good with social skills, having a great ability to connect with people, network with people, communicate with people. Well, Aquarius prospers more in networking situations where it's working with a plethora of different people, maybe managing people, but one-on-one relationships are not Aquarius's strength. And with Aquarius, research is of paramount importance. Like the acquisition of knowledge is of paramount importance. These are all wonderful things for you to learn to align yourself, right? And now let's get into your sun. Should we get into your sun or your moon first? Yeah, we'll get into your sun, because then I'll explain. Because the sun and the ascendant have similar energies, but they're just slightly different, and I'll explain how that differentiation exists and manifests. So your ascendant is in Aquarius, then your sun is in Gemini. And like, hold on, what time of the so this is the 10:58, okay. So I won't get into that right now, because I think for this reading it's safer for me to just talk about the placements and not get into the nitty-gritty details, because it's kind of iffy, because with the nitty-gritty details we got to get exactly accurate with the time. But there are some nice attributes and qualities within your chart, but there are a couple of harsh realities as well. Like your sun, your moon, and your ascendant all align. So this, in a sense, promotes a great sense of self-awareness and self-awareness and like self-understanding. We'll get more into that later though, because I started talking about the aspects, and the aspects are a whole different story in of themselves. So you have your sun in Cancer in the fifth house. So it's either in the fourth house or in the fifth house. If it's in the fourth house, then that would make, if it's in the fourth house, then it would be in the fourth house if you were born earlier than 10:58. So let's say 9:58, then it'd be in the fourth house. But anyways, either in the fifth house or in the fourth house. So I'll kind of give perspective on both the houses. So the fifth house is the house of offsprings, the house of children, the house of animals. It's the house of fun, entertainment, joy. It also deals with like sexual energy and sexual activity, right? But like, so this Scorpio, moon in Scorpio, so you probably are going to identify with the sexual aspect that I'm seeing within your chart from the fifth house, but it may not even be coming from the fifth house. It probably is just like the reality of your moon, which is in Scorpio, right? Which is also a very sexual energy. Now, when it comes to the moon, when it comes to the sun in the fifth house, the sun is at home. Like the sun rules the fifth house, so it enjoys being here. This is the house of creativity. This is creativity. So it's the house of creation, and its creation extends beyond just physical arts, but also intangible things, and also the creation of offsprings and children. That's why like the fifth house is connected with like sex and sexuality, because like A plus B equals C, right? You have sex, then you get offspring. It's like that simple. So like that's the primary reason why. But also simultaneously, the fifth house is also the house of entertainment. It's like the house of joy, the house of happiness, the house of, like in tarot, for example, like there's the sun card, right? The sun card very much explains the fifth house tremendously. There's like this little child on a horse surrounded by all these beautiful flowers, and he's just running around, and like the sun is beaming on him. Like that's very much like fifth house energy, right? People with the fifth house are very, very expressive with their energy. It's almost like Leo energy. It's almost like you have your sun in Leo, but it's not in Leo. It's in the fifth house, the house of Leo. So these individuals are very expressive in their creativeness. They enjoy to entertain. It's one of the areas that they shine in. Their ability to like hold attention and captivate an audience, right? And yeah, also like their tremendous like enjoyment of interacting with others or with the one specific partner on an intimate setting. They're very affectionate and love to, show tremendous amounts of love. And yeah, ultimately also a house of just enjoyment, enjoying themselves. And like, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Like that's very much like the fifth house. And so whichever house the sun is in, the sun expresses in the house as like tremendous activity. Like it vitalizes the house it's in. So if your sun is indeed in the fifth house, then this would mean that where the fifth house things are related, there's a lot of energy and a lot of activity there. But now let's say your sun is in the fourth house. And mind you, because if it's in the fifth house, it'd be in Cancer, and Cancer is the sign of like the home. And so this can be like maybe you showing tremendous love and affection to your children, or behind doors, you and your intimate, close partner, like, showing great affection and love for each other. Or maybe you being like the 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 gesture of the house, um gesture. It's kind of like, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but like the in-house clown that is called for to entertain the king. I think it's a gesture. I'm not sure what it is, but like, possibly, not in a degrading way, of course, but just in a very entertaining, very fun, very like bubbly type of energy way. That's if like your sun is in the fifth house in the sign Cancer, then it would mean that like you make home related things very, very fun. Your family dynamic and the way that it's set up is very, very fun. Now, unfortunately, the fifth house can also be a house that deals with like affairs, but I'm gonna double check that real quick for you, because yeah, it can also be the house that deals with like affairs and cheating, because because like the fifth house deals with, in general, one's love life. But now, if you have your sun in the fourth house, the fourth house is the house of Cancer, right? And the fourth house is like the domestic life, it's the home life. It's also a companion house, and it deals with the companions of the home, to your family and things like that. And so if your sun is in the fourth house, then it would indicate that where there is tremendous amount of energy and activity is like your family. Like your family may be a great center of attention around your existence in your current life, because the sun is the center of attention, right? Hold on, let me just finish this search up. That's the fifth house. Yeah, I have to do this because I'm not completely sure. The fifth house represents... Okay, so no, it does not. It does not. It does not. It does not. Yeah. Actually, from Google, I'm seeing contradicting information. So it does, but it does. No, I think I'm gonna go with my first thought. It does. Okay. So, anyways, as I was saying, and I hope that it's still recording. So yeah, the fifth house does deal with like affairs and things like that in marriage. Can be like kind of a sneaky energy. But that's like if it's in the fifth house, right? But yeah, as I was saying, like the sun in Cancer in the fourth house deals with the significance to one's identity, where the happenings of the home are concerned, where family is concerned, where the mother even is concerned, right? Because Cancer deals with the mother, and so does like the fourth house. So from here, what you were telling me, you did speak a lot upon like your family, and so that's what, like, if you had your sun in the fourth house, that's what it would indicate, that you tend to experience a lot of influence from family, and family being an aspect that tremendously contributes to your identity and who you are. And so it's of paramount importance, because Cancer being connected to the moon and your moon being in Scorpio, it's paramount importance for you to learn to tap beyond your conscious mind and into your subconscious. Getting into astrology is very, very wonderful for this. Also, learning more about psychology, and getting into things like consultation, counseling, I mean, and, how do I put it? Therapy, psychoanalysts, just things that can help you penetrate deep into your mind and surface certain concepts and, thought forms and thought patterns that were rooted within your being when you were a child will really, really help you gain a greater awareness of your being, of yourself, of certain patterns that you may be repeating, certain patterns that you may need to learn to release and let go. You feel what I'm saying? Now, to get more into like the general attributes and qualities of Cancer, the key phrase for Cancer is "I care," right? And I care, but that's like one of the phrases for Cancer. Its primary phrase is "I feel," right? And Cancer's key word is feeling, right? It's all about the feelings, about the emotions, about the sensations, right? So it's of paramount importance to trust your emotions, trust your intuition, trust your gut, as we say. Now, Cancer's strength is in its tenacity, meaning its ability to endure tremendous amounts of trials and turbulence when it comes to emotional, things. But Cancer's weakness, where Cancer falls short, is in Cancer's touchiness. Cancer can be very, very sensitive, very, very touchy, Now, Cancer being ruled by the moon, and the moon manifesting in fluctuation, like the moon manifests, in the stocks, their up and down nature, in the waves, and their up and down nature, So, with that being that, like the moon also manifests in money. That's why, like, moon, and yeah, I'll leave it at that too. Like, and that's why, like, money is green, because the color of the moon is green. The color of the moon is like the heart chakra. So, the moon, right? Understanding these things, like Cancer, like when you understand the moon, you better understand Cancer too. Like, you get a better understanding of Cancer by getting a better understanding of the moon, because Cancer is ruled by the moon. So, with the moon being ruled by all these things, we can now also understand that Cancer deals a lot with comfort, security, and stability. That's like from the perspective of money. And with the stock market and the waves, we can understand that Cancer is a very like up and down sign, because it's a water sign. Where its up and down nature manifests is primarily in its emotions. And also, Cancer is a cardinal sign. The cardinal signs are the most movable, and they kind of signify matter in its gaseous state. But when matter is in its gaseous state, it is the most active. And for Cancer, because it's a water sign, it indicates high levels of emotional activity, especially. Yeah, and Cancer also belongs to the first emanation, meaning that they're the first water signs to come into fruition, to manifest. And so what this means is Cancers go with their own feelings and their own instincts, but like you have your moon in Scorpio, which is the second emanation, and Scorpio kind of is a in between of going with its own emotions and feelings, but simultaneously taking listening to itself and listening to what others have to say, and then coming to a conclusion. Now, the sun is like how you channel your will. And the way that you channel your will is very much directed towards emotions. And because of that, sometimes your will may be correlated towards what is most secure and what is most stable, what is comfortable, what is like subjective rather than objective. So sometimes doing things out of emotion, channeling your willpower out of emotion rather than logic, maybe something to look into. But for the most part, though, the cool thing about this is you can use your emotions to reach great attainments in life. Like if you learn how to control your emotions rather than have your emotions control you, then you'll get ahead so far in life. And when we get into esoteric psychology and mental alchemy later along the line, I'll be instructing you and guiding you on the path towards emotional and mental control. And we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, for the most part, that's pretty much the Cancerian energy. And Cancer is ruled by the moon. So wherever the moon is in is of paramount importance. So now we'll be looking into your moon. And before I get into your moon, I'll kind of explain the sun and the ascendant, how they're correlated. So the ascendant is the personality. It's like just the essence of like your individuality. But then the sun is like your character. So you, in a sense, use the energies of your ascendant to form and construct your character. Like our characters have to be built in a sense. You feel what I'm saying? Like our identity and our ego, in a sense, is buildable. Like we can build it. We can develop our character. But our personality is kind of like, it's like innate and even almost biological. It's very impulse connected, our personality. And so with your ascendant being, your personality being Aquarian, you use Aquarian attributes and qualities to build your character and your identity, which is very much rooted in emotions and feelings and your ancestors and your heritage, your familial heritage. You feel me? So yeah, that's pretty much the correlation right there. And now to get into your moon. Your moon is in, give me a sec. Let me see where your moon is. Your moon is in, I think your moon is, I know your moon is in Scorpio and it's in the 8th house. Interesting. So your moon is either in the 8th house or in the 7th house. I'll kind of look at both of the houses for you. So if your moon is in, we'll start with the 7th house. So if your moon is in the 7th house, this indicates a great significance and great importance in relationships. Now, the moon in the houses, it manifests in a up and down, a fluctuative type of manner. If your moon is in your 7th house, it would mean that where your personal relationships are concerned, there's like the waves, like an up and down type of energy, which I guess from what you were telling me earlier can kind of make sense. Like your like dynamic with your mother kind of sounded like it was up and down, like there was trust, but then now there isn't. You don't know if you should trust her. Then along the lines later, maybe you will, then maybe you won't, but yeah, like if the moon is in the 7th house, when you think about the moon, right, it goes through its phases. It's like it opens and it waxes and it wanes, right? And yeah, so that's the moon in the houses. It manifests as a very flexy type of energy. So if the moon is in the 7th house, this would also be an indication that you spend a lot of emotional, and you invest a lot of emotional energy into relationships and personal relationships, especially. So you react and respond a lot to those relationships and everything like that. Like it may be one of those things that consumes a lot of your mental energy, a lot of your mind, a lot of your attention, thinking about partners, thinking about relationships, thinking about your personal relationships in general. So like you and your mother, that's kind of a personal relationship, right? Depending on how close you and your mother are. With your moon being in Scorpio, it kind of is like iffy, maybe. Okay, we are talking about the moon. So that's the 7th house, very much relationshipy type of energy. And with the moon being the seventh house, it also may be an indication of the significance for you to have a public interactions. The significance for you to have a group of friends, right, that you may go out with and hang out with. The significance of you not isolating yourself, but allowing yourself to bask in social energies and just enjoying yourself, out in public, being in contact with the public world in general would be something that will be of great benefit and value to you if it's in the seventh house, right? Now, if it's in the eighth house is kind of completely a lot different from the seventh house. The eighth house will lead an individual more towards into like isolation, like hermit mode, intense emotion. It's interesting because the eighth house is the house of Scorpio. So actually, I can explain the eighth house for you, and you will probably resonate with it just because you have your Scorpio here, I mean, you have your moon in Scorpio. So even if your moon wasn't in the eighth house, but it was just in Scorpio, like eighth house themes would still manifest because the eighth house and the sign Scorpio are together. They're connected, right? So the eighth house, is an isolating house. It's a house of death. It's the house of the unknown, like things that are taboo. It's the house of enemies, right? It's the house of manipulation, the house of power and control. The eighth house and Scorpio are these things, right? So you're going to resonate with this because you have the Scorpio energy. The house of, to an extent, speculation. Like the fifth house is the house of speculation, like speculating things, having a hunch. And I think because the fifth house is the house of speculation, that's probably where like the affair type of energy comes into play. This energy of like, there's something going on here, type energy, speculation. And so Scorpio, unfortunately, is rather a negative sign. It's ruled by Mars, which is like the planet of war, aggression, fear. Well, not fear. It's more like Mars represses and it puts obstacles and challenges in front of you. And the energy here is like, are you going to be a coward or are you going to be courageous and rise above? That's more of like, it's not like fear per se, But yeah, that's like the eighth house. The eighth house is also a very mystical and magical house. It deals with occult practices. It deals with things that are taboo, things that are unconventional, untraditional. Scorpio also deals with things that are unconventional and untraditional. But Scorpio a lot deals with like the practice of the occult arts, like magic and things like that. Scorpio is a very magnetic sign. So being a magnetic sign, like you may find that people are always drawn to you, and you may also find that you have this revealing energy about you that makes people kind of want to come to you and spill their guts out, like come to you and reveal their secrets. Like there's this energy that people may feel about you of like, she won't judge me. Like I can be my raw, authentic self. Like, certain things that people won't say or won't feel comfortable sharing with other people, they may feel comfortable sharing with you. Like that's very much like the energy when we're talking about Scorpio. Now, simultaneously, a Scorpio also deals with, hold on, I'm thinking. So I mentioned how Scorpio deals with enemies, right? It deals with speculation. It deals with like the dark, feeling like maybe you're in the dark and certain things are happening that you're not aware of, right? These are all Scorpio-like energies. And now, before I conclude like the energy of Scorpio, let's talk about the moon. So we already talked a little bit about the moon, right? I kind of explained to you how the moon is like the mind, the mentality. The moon deals with the emotions. So both Mercury and the moon deal with the mind. The moon deals with the mentality from the perspective of the subconscious mind, But Mercury deals with the mentality from the perspective of the conscious mind. Mercury is the processor. Mercury is how we think our thoughts, But then the moon is our thoughts themselves, because your subconscious mind has a greater influence upon the thoughts that you have in your the thoughts that you entertain and the thoughts that you have, because the thoughts that you entertain and the thoughts that you have surface from your subconscious mind. It's like the way that your subconscious mind is set up is going to attract certain things into your awareness and attention, and going to push away other things. And so the things that your subconscious mind is going to draw to you are the Scorpio like things, right? Which are things that may be dark, mysterious, taboo, scary, possibly even. Scorpio is a very powerful emotional sign, and it deals with intense emotions, right? So very intense emotions. And both the seventh and the eighth house deal with partnerships in a sense. Like the eighth house deals with those intimate, close relationships from an emotional standpoint, but then the seventh house kind of just deals with relationships, personal relationships in general. So like when you really get entangled with someone, that's like the eighth house. But when you're in a relationship with someone and they're like your boo or whatever, and you acknowledge and recognize it, then that's more like the seventh house. They're both personal, but the eighth house is like very connected. And so is Scorpio, right? Because I keep mentioning Scorpio and the eighth house are very the same energy. So Scorpio has this inclination to want to connect with others in a very deep love, right? Scorpio is like the sign of sex. And Scorpio also rules like the sex organs as well. And upon its magnetic and attractive abilities, Scorpios can attract a lot of sexual energy. Like they can be very seductive and very magnetic to others. And Scorpio also is it's just a very powerful sign, where emotions are concerned. And it's like with Scorpio, it's like you need to learn to control your emotions, or your emotions will consume you, like eat you up alive. Like there's no in between with Scorpio, just raw, powerful energy. And that also manifests in power and control issues with other people, where it's like you may interact with people and you may find that those people kind of have a desire to want to like control you or whatever, or whatever. But yeah, that's like the seventh. I mean, that's like the moon in Scorpio. So yeah, with your moon being in Scorpio, it's of paramount importance again that you make it a habit of revisiting certain things that happened in the past that were traumatic and healing from them. Once you heal from those things, then you no longer have to revisit them. But it's like what happens with the moon in Scorpio is certain things from one's past kind of persist in the present, right? Persist in the present, and they kind of have this influence on one's life that are subconscious, that are like from trauma, like people reacting from a place of trauma, a place of hurt, a place of fear, so it's of paramount importance to do healing, to do deep work, right? And that's why I mentioned like therapy, counseling. Astrology is very much on point in helping that, like with the moon being in Scorpio, like the possibility of trauma can be like being sexually traumatized, possibly being abused, and this can even extend to maybe familially, or in the childhood, and maybe needing to do healing from that perspective, healing one's sexual energy and sexual nature, because there may have been trauma there, but yeah, that's pretty much like, I mean, honestly, with astrology we can go on and on and on, but that right there is like, it sums it up pretty much, you feel me? That's like the nutshell. And now let's get into your north and your south node. We have 15 more minutes. We can get into your north and your south node. Hooray. So the north and the south node, they're not planets or asteroids or anything like that. The north and the south nodes are actually imaginary lines that divide or the orbs, not the orb, but like the sphere of the moon into two polarities, like the north node and the south node, or like the north pole and the south pole, of the earth. But the north and the south nodes are like of the moon. So the north node, it deals with where the soul is going into in this lifetime, whereas the south node deals with where the soul has been and where it needs to get out, or where it needs to leave. In the sense that the south node is like the things you're very familiar with, the things that you in a sense have mastered, things that you're comfortable with. These are the things that in this life we tend to fall back towards when we are not wanting to evolve and not wanting to grow, or when we don't see progress in our lives. The odds of us not seeing progress or growth in our lives are likely because we're connecting and entangling ourselves with the south node. Yeah, and so the north node is uncertain and uncomfortable, and it's where the soul needs to go in this lifetime. And your north node is in Taurus in the second house, and your south node is in Scorpio in the eighth house. So with your north node and your south node being in these houses, your north node being in Taurus in the second house, it indicates that in this life you're here to create your own wealth. You're here to accumulate your own personal resources and acquire your own like security and physical, like your own physical security and physical security and physical stability. And with the south node being in Scorpio in the eighth house, it indicates that what you are already good at, in a sense, is tapping into other people's resources. And the eighth house, right, deals with like a partner's resource, or like it deals with public resources, and just being resourceful from that perspective of not just in a sense knowing what to do, and getting what you need, not 100% because it's you have established and you have it, but more so because you kind of know how to tap into the different resources that are available to the public, or resources that may be available from a perspective of relationships. Now in this lifetime, it's like not so much focusing on tapping into others' resources, but learning to tap into your own resources. And this doesn't just have to be tangible and physical, but we're going to talk about the tangible and physical a bit, because this is Earth, right? Taurus is an Earth sign. And so with you having your north node in Taurus, it does indicate that it's important for you to build foundations for yourself, build resources for yourself, acquire wealth, money, and things like that for yourself. But the thing with the second house is it deals with valuable things in general. Having a work ethic is an example of a intangible value. Being a person who knows how to work is a personal resource. Being a person who has certain skills, those skills are personal resources, right? So resources just have to mean money. And the north node being in Taurus is like needing to learn to become more practical and more practical in your actions in this lifetime, rather than being intangible and like very spiritual and kind of not having great amounts of grounding and not having great amounts of structure, kind of just allowing things to flow and allowing chaos to, like, because the eighth house and the sign Scorpio are somewhat chaotic, I say, but they're really chaotic actually. And Scorpio, what it does is it kind of learns to be comfortable and secure in the chaos. But it's like in this lifetime, you're not here to learn to make intensity your comfort. You're here to learn simplicity, to learn to be more like, I want to use the term modest, but more like like when I say modest, the image that comes to my mind is like a majestic energy of like a divine feminine, right? Like a bull. Taurus is the bull, right? Like a bull that's like very, very slow in its motion, very, it has temperance, right? There's a beauty about a bull, like, you know, thinking like a bull, you know, walking through a field of green grass, and the green is just so vibrant. Like there's something about that color of green, you know, and like there's flowers around, like very divine feminine energy. Like both Taurus and Scorpio are feminine, but Taurus is more like the harmonious attribute of the feminine energy. Meanwhile, Scorpio is like the destructive aspect of the feminine energy. Like, you know, a feminine energy can be very scary where emotions are concerned. Like one of my friends, right? She's a client of mine, but after I work with my clients, after a while, they become my friends, right? One of my friends, she also has her moon in Scorpio, and she's like I don't know, I don't really. She has her moon in Scorpio like you too, and she's done some crazy things. You know, I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that because, yeah, you know, I do feel like confidentialness is important. I just couldn't share that, even though I'm not sharing who or whatever. But you know, I think you get the idea, like from the aspect of the feminine being a danger, being dangerous because of the emotional potency. You know, like rage and anger, which can lead someone to do crazy things. So that's like the Scorpio end. But then the Taurus end is like the calming effect of the feminine energy, the nurturing effect of the feminine energy, the beauty that comes with the feminine energy. You know, the aesthetics, the beauty, you know, for sure, for sure. So Taurus is also the first earth sign, making it internal, right, rather than external. Being an earth sign, right? Earth is typically external, deals with material things, deals with money, and Taurus does deal with external things and money and materialism. But there's another aspect of Taurus that's very attuned to nature. And so for you in this life, it's important for you to learn to tap in with nature and to become more attuned with nature, you know? And I think you were telling me how you speak with the bugs, which is wonderful, which is great. You know, like gardening, I think is a very Taurian thing, right? But yeah. For the most part, because Taurus is close to nature, like Tauruses have this innate natural ability to be receptive to the secrets of nature, receptive to the subtle forces that can be utilized for manifestation and things like that are rooted in nature. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah, that's very much Taurian, and so it's of importance for you in this lifetime to learn to become like a magnet and to become more feminine in regards to becoming a vortex, like kind of like the Empress in the tarot, right? The Empress is like a symbol of fertility, right? Of abundance. And she just is, and wealth and abundance comes to her. Learning to tap more so into that, you know, is going to be of great significance for you. But yeah, you know, I'll pretty much leave it at that. And yeah, you know, this has pretty much been the breakdown. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to break it down a little bit more for you. But yeah, peace.